Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to my first tutorial on Miniconda. Alright, this is going to be like a three-part series. Basically, we're going to go through the install, some basic command usage, and one-off command usage, as in like ones we don't use that much. But they're going to be really short, I promise, and it's going to be a good watch. So anyway, let's get started. I first want to go over a couple key principles. Basically, what Conda is, who should use it, why we should use it, and how to install it. I've got some links here. I'm including them in the description below, so just scroll down and check them out. Basically, where to download Miniconda and the Miniconda cheat sheet with a bunch of commands on it. So, what is it? Miniconda is a command line package environment manager. So basically it allows us to enter simple commands like change directory or list the current directory by dir, or cd for change directory. And it also allows us to manage our environments, okay? And this also helps with separation of concerns. When you're talking about separation of concerns, it's basically how do you separate um, huge projects that are hundreds of thousands of lines of code or huge projects that are hundreds of thousands of lines of code spread across 60 70 files. So that's one thing we have to keep in mind whenever we're dealing with a project. Of course, ours won't get that large, not until the later in my tutorials. But however, this will be a key principle I will harp on throughout all of those tutorials. Okay, so who should use it? Right? The people that should use it are the ones that don't mind installing packages individually. For instance, other package managers comes with a lot of bloatware, right? They come with like 1,500 packages pre-installed, um, and they don't allow for separation of concerns. Meaning, um, if I if I wanted to install Pillow on one project, right, and Pandas or NumPy on another, I would be able to access them from the same repository. But if I'm using Pillow in Python 2.7 versus Pandas in Python 3.8, there's a package or a confliction of the versions that are required to be installed. So it gets really messy whenever you're talking about these other package managers that might be out there. Okay, who else should use it? People working on multiple projects at once. This has to deal with separations of concerns, right? When you're working on multiple projects at once, this allows you to separate all of those projects into their own individual environment, okay? And this helps you stay unorganized for the unorganized individuals, okay? This just allows you to do a bunch of really cool stuff to help delineate um, versions of packages that you can use in Python from one project to another, giving us separation of concerns. Okay, and why else should we use it? Different environments for each project. We pretty much cover that. And it's easy to use, very easy. It's like if 5 or 10 commands that you need to know, and you'll use them so much that you will get sick of it. All right, no, you'll just memorize them by heart. All right, so let's go to how to install it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to that first link I have in that description. Um, so what I'm looking at here is Python 3.7 and Python 2.7. We're going to use a 3.7 version just because it's newer and updated. However, if you want to use 2.7, you can. This actually doesn't really matter. What matters is making sure you got the right bit, right? So because the way I set up my Python environments, whenever I go to create a new environment, I just install the correct Python version that I'm working with or that I need, right? So for instance, our first project we're going to create, we're going to use Python 3.8, and we won't even use the one that's going to come downloaded with this. Okay, so I have a 64-bit. I'm going to use a 64-bit. If you got a 32-bit processor, get a 32-bit, and Mac, Linux, so on and so forth. Okay, so while this is downloading, I'm going to jump over to the cheat sheet. Oh, there it is. This is a cheat sheet that I downloaded. Basically, you can, or that I included the link in the description, and I downloaded. Basically, we're going to run a couple of commands like conda info to get some info. We don't have to update because we got the most current one. What we can do is we can list all the packages and versions in the active environment when we create one. We can create a new environment, stuff like that. So, moving on, that should be downloaded. Yep, there it is. Okay. So as we're installing this thing, it's really important to keep track of which ones I'm clicking. What I don't want you to do is add it to your environment path. Do not do that. Only because we won't be using Python outside of Miniconda, so it's just useless. No need to use it. All right, just click install, and this thing is going to install. Didn't take that long installing here because, you know, it's installing. But anyway, when we go to set up these base environments, it's going to be really cool. You guys are really going to enjoy this. And no, I don't need to view the tutorials. I'll learn more. All right, so in order to access Anaconda, all you got to do is hit the window key. It could be in your recently installed apps here, or you can just type Ana, which is what I normally do, A, and then you're here. Okay, so if you look here, you have these parentheses base, right? This basically tells us that we're in the base package or the base environment for Anaconda. Okay, and then it gives me the directory that I'm currently in. That's not so important for this video. However, we are just going to run a simple command. We're going to do conda info. Basically, it tells us where it lives. This is the environment location. You know, a bunch of cool other stuff. And then we can do conda list to list the current packages we have installed in the base environment, not in the ones we're going to create. Okay, well, let's go about creating our first one. So let's just do conda create, and then we're going to call it, give it a name, right? Space. And this is where we declare our name. Normally I name it the name of the project that we're currently working on. However, in this case, I'm just doing this tutorial, so I'm just going to call it the name or the version of the Python I'm going to install. So it's just going to be Python 3.8 because that's the first one to install. And then to install Python 3.8, all you have to do is say Python equals 3.8. Boom. And it's going to go fetch those packages. It's going to ask whether or not we want to install it. See 3.8.2. We say yes. And install this bad boy. It's going to take a second, but basically, this is what makes it so easy to use. I don't have to go to a website to ensure I have multiple versions of Python downloaded so I can use them in my command prompt. I don't have to go to, you know, just manage all of that. And it's very cumbersome. Normally, you have to go through installing multiple versions of Python just to work with them. Then you have different commands for the Python version you're working in. For example, Python 2.7, normally if you have multiple versions installed, you just do Python. But if you have Python 2.7 and 3.8 installed, you have to do Python 3, or you know, to get the Python 3.8 execution command line. Or if you're using pip with Python, which we will be using, you have to do pip and pip3 for the corresponding versions. It's quite ridiculous and quite cumbersome. Okay, so moving on, what we're going to do is we're going to activate this this environment. So to activate this environment, we're just going to copy by Control V and paste it with or Control C and Control V. All right. Once we do that, you can see that we went from the base environment to the Python 3.8 environment. So if I do that same command, conda list, you see there's a lot less packages, right? It's just the ones that we installed, not all of these that came with it. So it really streamlines all the packages that we will be using, right? And if I do, I can install more packages on top of this by using pip, as simple as that. So pip install, for instance, I'm going to install Django on this one just for giggles, right? Pip install Django, and it's going to go out, it's going to fetch the package, it's going to download it, and if I run conda list again, it should be there, hopefully. If not, you can just do a pip freeze and it'll give you the same list, more than likely. So I'm almost done with this tutorial. I'm going to show you these last couple commands, and then that'll be it. After that, the next video will include how to use all of these commands in detail and how to create these environments in detail. And it's going to be really simple, streamlined, straight to the point, a lot less winded than this one. So it looks like this one's taking a while. There we go. Okay, so if I do conda list again, as you can see, Django 3.0.5 is installed, and if I do pip freeze, This will list out all of the packages I have installed from here. So look, Django 3.0.5. Okay, so that's all I wanted to show you in this tutorial. I will be posting tutorials later on, either this week or early next week, depending on my schedule. But I appreciate you guys watching, and please hit that like and subscribe button. And see you guys later. Thanks, bye.